started writing it, about 3 months prior to like going into quarantine, the pandemic hitting. And it was such a fascinating time to be writing a book about relationships at work, because a lot of what we talk about in the book is the impact that technology has had on our relationships, and a lot
Sure.
of recommendations for how we aren't technology haters, but how we can start to use technology to really augment our humanity as
Right.
opposed to replace or detract from our humanity in the workplace, because technology, it's here to stay, right? But and we've adopted and adopted and adopted technology into every aspect of our life, but we haven't adapted to it as quickly as we've adopted it, right? And so we're
Right.
starting to see, and I think we've all felt it in some way, right? The loss of kind of human connection and having to use technology to be connected to those that we care about and those that we love for the past 15 months or so. So we wrote this in the middle of a pandemic. So it was a fascinating time to be writing about this topic.
Unbelievable time.
When we talk about well-being, we don't really talk about relationships as much, but we should, because
Right.
human beings are meant to connect. Like, that's who we are at our core, is to connect with other human beings. And it's not just about our relationship with other human beings, it's about our relationship with ourselves. It's about our relationship with our environment, with our physical environment, our virtual environment, the world we live in. So there's all kinds of different relationships that we talk about and kind of decode in the book, to help people really enhance their well-being and their work life.
From a leadership standpoint, all the leaders in our practice, I would just really love to understand, like, what is it that a leader can do to create the right conditions? And I ask it that way because often companies can create a standardized program, but it's about the leader making sure that they're
Yeah.
doing the proper role modeling, and then talking with the employees or associates on how do we take advantage of this, or how do we get the benefit of it. So maybe can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the way that we talk about it in the book and kind of broader at Deloitte, you're absolutely right. There's kind of the organizational construct and structure and what leaders of the at the top of the house of the organization can do. And that's really important to kind of
Mhm.
set the tone and the context. But where the kind of money really is at the team level. So there's organization, there's team, and there's individuals. And individuals tend to have, and I know you and I are probably going to talk about this, kind of tend to have a lot more power than they often believe that they do.
Yes.
Ask for what they need and set the boundaries that they have. And so you're right, the team leader does play a significant role in that, right? And that's the most significant. The team is the most significant area for people, because we know that the people that impact our
I
well-being,
love that.
yeah, the people that impact our well-being the most are the people that we spend the majority of our time with. And so for those
Yes.
that are spending 8, 9, 10 hours a day working, we're probably spending more time often with the people that we work with than we are with the people that we live with.
Yes.
Hopefully some of that time we're sleeping when we're at home, right? And so if you're not creating that culture and environment where people feel like they can be open and authentic and ask for what they need, then it's a real missed opportunity. You can be a people leader and a leader of a team, but our colleagues are leaders of different initiatives. I
I
kind of
love
define,
that.
right? Like, we all have some responsibility. If you come in contact with other human beings in your work life, you are a leader.
I love that. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I
No,
love that because too often we don't take that personal responsibility, and we
yeah,
just want to push it off on somebody else. And I understand sometimes we may not experience the right culture from our leader, but we
right.
have the responsibility to impact across to our peer group and impact those that we lead. So I love it. I love it.
We
Keep going,
do.
keep going. This is
We
great.
are all responsible for the culture that we want to create. So as a leader, be vulnerable, right? Like, that's going to look different for every single person. We all
Love it.
have a different comfort level. That doesn't mean coming to work and, spilling every gory detail of your life, right? But, sharing what's going on. This is what I did this weekend. This is what I'm struggling with. These are some strategies
Mm,
that that are working for me. Just it's really about being human, right? And
right,
having
right.
conversations and, showing a little bit of humanity. Look, we all struggle. We all have things that, we're dealing with. It's okay to bring emotion into the workplace. As a matter of fact, you need to bring emotion into the workplace.
Right.
Telling to kind of check their emotions at the door, which is very old school thinking. Just it's not real. Like it doesn't work. That's like basically saying don't be human, right? Like humans are made up of emotions, right? And so sharing a little bit of yourself and being human, and then letting people know, like I'm here if you want to talk, if if they're like just kind of keeping that door open for people. If you're experiencing a health or well-being challenge, you never ever have to disclose the details of the challenge if you don't want to. Some people have different comfort levels with that. I'm a cancer survivor, so I talk often about my experience of cancer and going through treatment and being in the workplace and all of that. But you never have to ever, like, no one should ever feel like they have to disclose anything, that especially their private health information. That's the first thing. So but you do have to have a little bit of courage if you're uncomfortable having that conversation. And so I think there's a couple ways that you can do it. First, if you don't feel like the culture is exactly right, perhaps start by having a conversation with some of your colleagues and say, hey, this is something that I'm interested in. This is something that I'm interested in doing. What do you think? Do you have an interest in it? Do you have a different interest? Like, kind of, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Right. And then collectively, you could go to the leader, right, and say, hey, this is something that we've talked about, not in a way that you're ganging up on the leader, but this is something that we've talked about as a team that is really important to us, and we want to help you. So I think that the main piece, whether you go to the leader as, by yourself or as a team, don't go to the leader with just a problem, right? Like, this is a problem.
Right.
Go to the leader with, like, this is what I see, this is what I'm passionate about, or this is what's going on, and this is what I think the solution is, right? And so help them solve it. Leaders, all of us are busy. None of us are mind readers.
Right.
We talk about boundaries, and boundaries in the workplace is, most of the time when people overrun your boundaries, it's not because they're bad people. It's because you communicated the boundary, or you didn't respect the boundary yourself, right? Like, somebody asked you to do something at a time that you have something going on in your personal life. And instead of saying, hey, you know what, that time doesn't work for me, but I can do it these 4 other times, we just say, okay. and then we get frustrated, and it starts to spill out in other places, in other ways, usually at home. We frustrated with the people that we care most about, right? Instead of just like, hey, it doesn't work for me, right? Can we find a different way to do it? And that takes a little bit of courage. But, once you've done it a couple times, you kind of have to practice that, that courage muscle a little bit, and you will feel much better, and you will have done your part to kind of create the culture that you want to create. We can be really productive while we're working virtually. As a fact, we're probably overproductive.
We need better boundaries at times, right?
Towards burnout. And I also think that there are some leaders that believe getting people back into the office and kind of, creating structure in people's day of going back to the office, getting to the office signals a start to the workday, leaving the office signals an end to the workday. And some people need that, right? And so I think for some leaders, I don't think their intentions are bad. I think maybe they believe that that's kind of a solve for the burnout that many of us, or, kind of the Zoom fatigue or the virtual fatigue people have been experiencing. I don't know the answer. I don't think anybody knows the answer. I think what we need moving into whatever is next for all of us is a little bit more compassion, a little bit more kindness, a little bit more listening and understanding, right? And allowing people to kind of be human in the workplace, and allowing people to choose, right? If you hire professionals to do a job, and they're doing their job regardless of where they are doing it from, then they're doing their job, right? And so, I think we need to give the workforce a little, we need to create cultures of trust and autonomy. That's what the workforce is telling us that they want.
Well, that's powerful.
I think that the organizations that listen to their workforce are going to be the ones that thrive in the future. I'm a huge advocate for sleep. I mean, if you are going to do one thing for your health and well-being, it is, get more sleep. I think we are all perpetually sleep deprived. And so I don't mess around with my sleep. No electronic devices, turning the lights down, reading good old fashioned hard copy books.
Love it.
Taking a hot warm bath, those types of things, but at least an hour to an hour and a half before bed, I am kind of getting into full on, like, it's time to go to sleep mode. And so I have some pretty strict and kind of strong rituals. As a matter of fact, when we used to travel for work, because I have the best team, not only did they tell me that I can't check email on vacation, they always tell me what time it is and that I need to go to bed, because they know what it's like to work with a Jen that's not well rested. So they
I love it. I love the team
down.
accountability that you have. It's great.
Yeah. Fiona, my dog, we go on a walk every single morning, 45-minute walk. That's part of our morning ritual. So
I love it. Well, that was going to be my last question. So at Banfield, we have over 19,000. Speaking of pets, my little guy just ran through the screen. He loves to run through the camera here.
Here you go. Everybody can meet Fiona.
Yeah, Fiona. How are you, Fiona? I love it.
I just woke her up from her nap. So she's like, what are you doing?
What's happening? It's funny during this world of, Microsoft Teams calls and everything. Every time someone's dog would bark, if I was talking to someone outside of the organization, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, my dog barked. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm at a pet hospital. It's not a meeting.
We need to stop apologizing for those things.
Exactly.